Commissioners for the town of LaPointe to order. With us today, we have Jay Wiltz. Here. Susan Widmer.
Here.
Michael Collins.
Here.
Evan Erickson.
Here.
Myself, Zach Montang. Glenn Carlson. Here. Staff, we have Katie Kisner, CAO, Secretary Lauren Bertot, Cal Linehan and Robin Russell, Operations Managers for Miffle. And public, we have Paul Brummer and Charlie Brummer and Michael Childers. I guess we'll move right on to public comment. Go ahead.
As usual, if you could please move the meeting to the evening instead of 9 a.m. Broken record, but most got to skip sooner or later. And second, the hearing went on at last week's meeting regarding my brother's request for having an earlier vote at 10 a.m. And 8:15. It seems to me like there is almost, how can I put it, animal farm. All men are created equal, all businesses are created equal, but some are more equal than others. And I had this really neat book I picked up years ago. It's called The Complete Idiot's Guide to Great Customer Service. It's a good read. You even have a section here about how good surveys can yield bad information. And I'd really like Glenn Carlson to peruse through it. I'll pick it up in 2 weeks. I'd like to have a report, tell me what you learned. You can pass it around if someone else wants to read it, that's fine with me.
Paul, your minute's up. We can revisit at the end.
At any rate, I have to get back to the salt one, but thanks for cutting off my public comment. It's sincere. I gave that book to Robin Trinko Russell. I think it helped her, so maybe we can continue on with you guys.
Right, let's move on to the minutes.
I do have public.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
I received the letter that Charlie wrote and sincerely apologized to him. I had no intent of ridiculing him. In fact, I think everybody that knows me knows that I hold Charlie in very high regard. And I was perhaps overly protective of the change to accommodate the student after school activities. And I do believe that the Harbor Commission is interested in working with you and figuring out if there is a way that this can be accommodated. So again, I apologize, Charlie.
I just want to thank Glenn, appreciate that, and I understand you want to have later votes for school children. I know Evan and I went through the school system over there in different generations, probably different decades, but we had the same issue trying to find how to have later votes. I don't think you're ever going to make everybody happy, but I appreciate what you had to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't know, I'll make a public comment that for me to do basketball as a Bayfield school student, my parents rented a place on mainland to make that work. And so, you know, that's part of living over here. And in your letter, the 7 p.m. isn't going to be accommodating to all students. Sometimes my basketball practice didn't get out till 9. So that's part of living over here, and that's just what the students have to deal with.
Never a perfect solution, right?
Never a perfect solution.
Do the best you can.
Yep.
If there's no further public comment, we will now move on to the minutes of the August 22nd meeting.
I've read them and like them, and so move that the minutes of August 22nd, Thursday, be approved.
I'll second.
I had discussion.
Go ahead.
In motion to move the item number 8. It was Glenn moved and Zach second, and there is no accounting for a vote. I will include that.
Yeah.
There's no further changes. I will make a new motion that we accept the minutes as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Updates? think everything that I would cover is going to be addressed at some point in the meeting. Anything communications?
There's an upcoming, is that article that's gonna be put together? Let's see that.
Incoming communications, we did receive a letter from Charlie Brummer expressing his dismay at the outcome of the meeting last month or last week. I talked to Charlie in person yesterday afternoon and would hope that we can come to some sort of an arrangement with scheduling to allow for facilitation of a boat one day a week. Sounds like he had spoken with you as well, Cal.
Yeah, we had a good conversation yesterday. Productive conversation, I would say. Yeah.
Is this item that we should put on the next meeting? Discussion of trying to keep the 8:15 or what can be done for that? Or is that all in Cal and Robin's hands?
I would like to see them work it out between themselves, some kind of an amicable agreement. I don't know if we
Need to.
need to step in at this point or try to influence. Happy to revisit it though, if necessary.
Yeah, I'd really like to see that we do accommodate for that, both for scheduling of the propane suppliers. It's worked for years for Feral Gas and the yacht club and whoever Gene has. And I don't know, would having fuel transport coming back later in the day affect the boat schedule in any way? Having to arrange for that special trip for that boat?
What's the question specifically?
It 8:15 fuel transport in the morning, and then it comes back roughly 10:30, 11. Would having a fuel transport coming back at 1 or 2 cause an issue?
No.
Okay.
I mean, because that's when the extra boat is running, and depending on the mini scheduling variable. But yeah, the extra boat would be running ultimately from 10 AM to 4. 5 at the, that's essentially 4. That's the window of the extra boat.
Okay.
Again, I mean, there's a lot of asterisk, you know, because there's quite a lengthy discussion to the whole thing. Yeah, so I mean, currently, that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for this schedule. The next schedule, that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You know, Friday on the next schedule is a longer day.
We also, I think this is a good time to bring this up. It's probably in Katie's report also, but we received a request from True North Sailing. That's to potentially lease some space within the Bayfield Harbor. With photos attached. To keep the dinghy either up on shore with 2 departures a day. I put the question out to Robin and Cal to get their input, and there are some safety concerns with it. And I will follow up with, I think it's a good point that they should explore other options over there. And we could potentially revisit it if they have no other options.
I would think they could find dockage on the city dock of
Options.
Right, that was what
Yeah.
Robin put forth. That's all I have there. We could move on to Katie's report if no one has anything else under committee updates.
Everything else is on the agenda already, but the current balances of the Harbor Commission bank accounts as of Tuesday, the 27th, are as follows. The August revenue as of the 27th, we're at just over 940,000, which is 84.5% of the budgeted income for the month. Thanks to Cal, the new West Bend auto policy was in effect as of Friday. And then I've been working with Jesse to cancel the progressive and move forward all of that. And then Robin did provide kind of a description, like kind of a clarification of some of the credit card expenses that we held reimbursed. I mean, all very straightforward. It's just kind of what the Harbor Commission would like to move forward with as far as future policies of what to be reimbursed on trips and things like that.
I have to say, I think that those all seem reasonable to me. As long as the, the amount of gas reimbursement is less than it would have been for mileage by far. And secondly, putting 3 people in a room and, that the meal expenses were within a per diem amount that has been what the town uses. I didn't see anything outside of that.
Do we need to have any other action then?
I don't think we can take action.
This will be probably represented as a
As a bill.
reimbursement at our next meeting.
At the next, okay.
Thanks for the clarification.
Thank you.
Then everything else is on the agenda.
I will move that we place Chief Administrative Officer's report on file as presented.
Second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
I,
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Freight building parking lot pavement project.
well, as you can see, we finally received a price from Parkwood Paving. The price for the $25,571 job is for 2 inches of pavement laid down, and the $28,513 job is for 2.5 inches laid down. John wanted to kind of go over a drainage plan with me. At some point, what Bron and I talked about when Bron was here taking grade, John wasn't quite in agreement with that. And so once again, I'm trying to arrange with meeting John over here, but I mean, the price for this is not that bad. It's just a matter of, do we want to spend another 30,000 or do we want to deal with gravel parking lot?
This is just for the paving, right?
That's just for the paving.
Or anything?
That's not for changing grade, and the changing grade would be a whole different ordeal.
And that has to be done kind of anyway, but
That has to be done anyway.
Well, if we were to pave it, it would have to be done. I think that
so we're not worried about flooding or anything unless we pave.
it's gonna be trial and error. There is drain tile installed there, which will just finish and then I'll let you. Which will, if it gets paved over, will not work because it'll be sealed, from the surface water getting in. I have concerns that it would freeze in the wintertime and not function, but go ahead, Robin.
Yeah, I had already put drain tile on the gym side, we talked about this,
Yep,
and then past the concrete towards the motel. The building is a low point, the museum comes down, and the motel comes down. And I think, Jay, you know about coming in the garage, you will get, we've gotten water a couple times this year. If you had like a culvert underneath the second corner turnaround towards the walkway.
Oh, to divert.
Yeah, so, like make like a dry stream bed or something. Because it's. And then there's drain tile on the other side going down to that cement between Bell Street Tavern and the building. We did everything we could. And I don't Zach, couldn't you leave some gravel or like that washed rock? Over the drain tile and not blacktop?
Potentially, one of my thoughts was actually to do like, if it were to be paved, would like an open trench, kind of like what runs down the middle of the fire hall that has a metal grate over it, so the water could
Okay,
flow freely and it could be cleaned out, de-iced if necessary. That's a whole nother can of worms.
yeah, the only thing is you've got the well goes from by the walkway. I mean, that's like, I don't know.
This would be shallow.
That's 6
This would be
feet deep.
shallow, yeah.
The sewer line, I think, was 3 or 4 feet deep when we dug that, or when I dug in the water line. But, so while I want to meet with John and see what he had to say, he mentioned something about kind of having an asphalt curb on one side of the building to kind of redirect water. So that's where we're at on that. So hopefully John will be over here and I can discuss with him some more.
I'm on the fence. You know, part of the push for this was, I was kind of under the understanding that you had already entertained or had received some bids for paving that. Not a,
No, Arnie just said we should blacktop,
okay,
and I said, well, it's not permeable, so it doesn't, drain. The sluice way towards the motel where I have the plants, that really helps.
mhm.
That takes like the motel water, and we have to get the rain garden at the end. But the other is like, and it's clay. I want to keep the fruit trees, I mean, possible, that's why the blocks come in.
Yeah, those would stay. It is just a matter of just changing some of the slopes just to go towards that ditch and then towards Bell Street on the left side of the building. Cause right now with the current grade set in that back left corner, it actually slopes back towards the building and not away from the building. And so you need to essentially dig down that corner and just start adjusting grades to go that way. And then also on the other side at the walkway, kind of cutting that bank down and making a ditch essentially for the water to go towards the walkway rather than at the building. So this is gonna be further discussed. Yeah.
Given this, the amount of blacktop involved, is that something where we really see a significant savings by virtue of having the plant over here versus, having them have to, I guess, bring the asphalt over for it?
Yeah, I don't know what the cost savings would be, and I didn't discuss that with John, but for the volume that they're doing with the plant here, I mean, it's got to be considerably cheaper. That's why they brought the plant, was the cost savings and not having the ferry over asphalt. Now that we own the ferry line, I mean, if there's a plant in Bayfield or a plant in Washburn, then we have to pay for an assembly, or I forget what the organization fee or for them to bring over their equipment and everything.
Mhm.
Mobilization fee. They did that for when they paved the fire hall and did some culvert patching. There was a mobilization fee. Just because they had to bring all their equipment and crew over here for essentially a day worth of work.
Well, I'm kind of on the fence with Zach. I don't think that I'm hearing that it's really a necessity for us to do that this year. And
I think with the Madeline going to Fraser and our first year into this, if we can
Avoid the expense.
avoid 25 grand,
Yes.
then
Yeah.
then we can deal with gravel.
We could still adjust the grade and get some gravel in there and
Reroute.
let it winter over, see how it works.
We'll seem to be on the same page.
And at some point, there'll be a plant over here, some major blacktopping again, we can revisit.
Mandamin, I'm hearing.
Well, that'd be great to have it done. I guess put it on the agenda for next week, Lauren. I'll see where I'm at with John.
Or do we,
Or Joy.
do we want to, pull the plug on the project for this year?
Okay, we'll end the discussion. Do we want to take a vote on that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we, we deny,
Table.
table, paving the freight building office until a further year.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Favor?
I,
Opposed? Motion carries.
And we have rough numbers for the budget for.
Yes.
yeah.
Bayfield School contract is next.
The only thing I would suggest is on page 5, under B. From notwithstanding the foregoing, I would cross off Madeline agrees that that its intention is to be compensated an amount equal to what the school district is reimbursed for. I don't think that that's necessarily going to be something that we can guarantee or they can guarantee. So I would just strike the part of what our intention is. So I would say notwithstanding the foregoing, Madeline will not charge for student trips on a weekday during.
Let's go straight to the second sentence.
Yeah, yeah.
Madeline will not change.
And I have been working with them on language for taking attendance.
Yeah, I didn't see anything.
And I can't see it in here for some reason. So I had thought that it was in here and now
For the chaperone to take the attendance?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We had very specific language, that Miffle LLC had agreed with and, at least I thought they agreed with, and the school agreed with. And I think everyone is pretty happy to, have the chaperones taking attendance, being the last one on the boat, and taking attendance as the kids get off the boat, and turning that into the school every day and having their attendance taking be visible to the crew. And everyone seemed happy with that. I just don't see it.
It's gonna be an oversight. I mean, just.
Yeah, so
Maybe they decided that since it was their action completely, there was no reason to have it in here. What's our function?
Well, I would think we would want that in the contract.
Yeah, I think it should, yeah.
So I'll move that we table this until the next meeting, just to clarify that language gets in there.
Was it the contract that we got back from Bayfield?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second that.
And then does the school district currently pay for school nurses' trip back and forth?
That I do not know.
I thought yes.
I think because she is typically the chaperone.
I
that's
think it's
covered.
by virtue of being the chaperone.
So I don't know if we leave that as it is or if we add that there's still some gray area with the teachers and the Harbor Commission intent to cover that. I don't know if it needs to be in the school contract, but it needs to be clarified with. Oh, I'm sorry, Robin.
Yeah, I think Jackie has a name for
In school.
it. I think so.
Yeah, then that could be as a chaperone.
But I mean, there's a whole bunch of name cards.
Right, but that's mostly because they didn't have a contract in place last year and that was their.
A lot of name cards.
Okay.
There's a keep one here, keep one here, keep on. But yeah, a lot more last year.
Well, I know that the school was pleased that we were doing what we're doing as far as the student class trips during the day. And the teachers and the chaperones. We didn't talk about the school nurse or school employees, but
I think we had in the past, but I don't remember if we took formal action or not.
We had discussed it.
Mhm.
I propose that we include, the school employees.
Yes.
We don't want any disincentive for them to come over and take care of things over here.
There are teachers.
We did discuss the maintenance people
Yep.
and theirs
Yep.
specifically, I recall.
I don't know if did we take
Agreed.
action?
I don't think at that time, we weren't taking action. We were just discussing, I think.
And our consensus, Jay, was
Was yes, that the teachers, the maintenance people and the nurse should all
be covered.
have free ridership during the school
Well, school
hours.
paid.
Specifically during hours, not not weekends, not after school hours.
And the school paid hour, or school paid fare, not free.
And school would then be responsible for maintenance staff vehicles. There's gotta be a line here
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah,
It's a good question.
because we're not covering any vehicles other than class trip.
Right, that was the language. It was regarding school trips.
Well, I'll make a motion that we clarify in the contract that the school employees, including the nurse and maintenance people and chaperones, will have free passage as passengers only. And I think that's it.
Okay,
And
that's.
then,
that's-
along with tabling this until we have the language added as one motion.
I probably should do them as separate motions.
Okay.
And my point is that they don't really get free rides. But the school board should be paying for them.
No, I think that the idea was that we are wanting the school board to not have any reason not to have people coming over here.
To incentivize.
Got it.
We want to work with the school district.
Exactly.
Well, they certainly will work.
How is the count delivered to the crew? Is the chaperone?
It's
giving
not
the count?
delivered. Oh, well, the count,
The sole
yeah,
count.
the one number is delivered as it has been. But just it's the name.
Yeah.
That has been the issue in the past and so.
Glenn made a motion, someone needs to say.
Oh.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And that was to table the contract.
No,
I think well, we could do it in either order. You had made a motion and then a,
motioned and seconded to table finalizing the contract to make sure that language is in there.
I think,
You made a separate motion, although both of you first and seconded the same people, to include all school employees, including nurses and. maintenance.
I think it works as one motion, tabled it until the language to include those things is in place, if that works for everybody.
Works for me.
Yep.
Robin, does that clarify the questions that you had emailed earlier this week as far as?
So you've got the nurse, whether or not she's a chaperone or not, but she's covered as a chaperone. You got the maintenance, which is Joel that comes over with, but you're not, we're still gonna charge her the bus.
Mhm.
Takes the bus back and forth. Then you got the, school group trips during the day.
Mhm.
But the students will be charged for it.
During, the normal commute.
Okay, and coming home midday, they will all have chaperones midday and in the evening.
Mhm.
But we're gonna charge it for the school lunch.
Mhm.
Okay. And the school board. I mean,
I'd be inclined to include the school board. I mean, that's another volunteer position
Sure.
and it's usually us going over there.
Yeah, how often does the school board meet over here?
They have one meeting typically a year.
but you have one board member that goes back and forth. So-
Yeah, so that board member should be comped by us.
Be fine with that.
Who is our school board member for here?
Elena.
Okay,
And they have a La Pointe School Committee also that sometimes attends.
yeah,
That also includes subs.
Also includes subs, yeah.
And then teachers come over during the day, like art teacher, music, stuff.
Free.
In the past, the school district paid for those teachers to come over, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
Yeah,
So we're giving,
here, we're comping them.
we're giving the school district in hopes that, you know,
They'll
we're
work
showing
with
some
us.
good faith. And
So that 25% back.
Not sure we're gonna get quite there.
Okay,
And it's an annual contract. We can revisit it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
find the terms are not working.
right, if we don't see, you know, good faith coming back, you know, I think we can revisit it.
So all those positions that we just labeled as comp, we're gonna include that into the contract. Somebody write that down.
Someone did.
Make sure it's
Does anyone have anything else on the school district contract discussion? Move on then to item 9, vehicle accident expense discussion.
This was brought up because there was a payment for vehicle damage the last meeting for $1,900. And in the report, it sounded like it was the driver's fault, but yet there was a payment made. I didn't see the receipt for that, because I guess there was a further description on that receipt. But do we know what enticed us to make that payment for that accident? It was a car that was driving too fast. It might have been too long ago to remember too.
Too fast and wasn't following.
Wasn't following directions.
Okay, I'll let Cal speak to the structural deal on board. But the philosophy of the old Miffle was that we valued customer service. And sometimes, you know, there's miscommunication and people get fried. And if you had one of those accidents that we're, we didn't pay everything on something that was the customer was, you know, not in a good mood, we would pay half or nothing at all, you know, for a portion, and it depends on the amount. If it's a smaller amount, we would pay it, because it's part of customer service. And, one complaint like that on Facebook or TripAdvisor, you're done. So we try to work with people, and and a lot of times estimates would come in a lot lower than we thought. The problem being with the current modern or more newer vehicles, not mine, but they have sensors in all the panels. So we would pay them.
And I'd like to elaborate on a lot of this. I get a report from a captain and a deckhand, it says one thing. I call the driver, they say another thing. And you go back to the captain and the deckhand and they stand, you know, we said this, we did this. The driver says, I didn't understand this. Didn't make sense to me. I mean, the big thing is to remember, I haven't seen anybody drive their car into the wall willing. Nobody's smashing up the side of their car because they want to. Something is failing. We spend an immense amount of time training our crew to not have this situation. But, you know, the Bayfield, which is the #1 problem boat, has an incredibly narrow, challenging tunnel.
Yeah.
That things can go bad in a second. You know, they can be perfectly in the middle and they turn too hard and they hit the railing. And that could be from a misunderstood hand signal. You know, the person, again, you know, could be looking behind them for a second. Stuff goes wrong. And we transport a lot of vehicles. And that's really the issue. So I'm dealing with multiple right now where, you know, we have a magnitude of these come across my desk. I have every single accident, you know, a muffler scraper comes to my desk. A tiny little paint scraper comes to my desk, a huge grease in the car comes to my desk, and we pay ultimately a tiny amount of that.
Some of them don't ever come in.
Right, you know, because they'll agree, it was me, you know, oh, they said left, I didn't understand, I mean, we're not paying, you know, because everybody is in agreement, right? But the amount of work that goes into each one of those is pretty immense, and there of course isn't any desire to just pay it. It's just that the issue is there's, you know, a lot of ambiguity in those situations and who's right and who's wrong. So, that's really where we end up. You know, we've got tight boats. We're trying to get a lot of cars. You know, if we want to get rid of accidents tomorrow, we could. We'd have to haul at half capacity. You know, it'd be every other week. And I can guarantee we could get it down to 1% of the accidents that we have. There'd still be some, but we could get it way down. But that's, I don't think, in anybody's best interest, you know, so that's the challenging nature of this. And so that's really where, you know, I would say, first of all, I don't understand how, you know, the Harbor Commission weighing in on these would be beneficial, just because I'm doing this diligence back and forth. Now I give it to you, and then now I've got to do it all over again. You know, I mean, you hired us to trust us. There's no point for me to just pay things up. I want to take care of the boats. You know, if I can't do that, there's no money. I mean, to me, it's the same thing as the insurance. I was under, you know, no obligation to find new insurance, but the pricing is high, so I have insurance, right? I'm doing that with everything. I mean, you have a direct continuation of that from before. So for me, what it does is, you know, I have no problem being sort of audited in that. You know, if you ever had any questions about why did you pay this? You know, okay, this one looked weird to you, right? I'll tell you why I paid this. I'll tell you what they said and what they said. But to add the extra layer for me, okay, now I've got to come and explain what this deckhand said and what this captain said, and now you have a question, so I've got to go back.
Adjudicated. Yeah.
It's gonna, again, my workload has gone up immensely. Lucky for you guys, I'm sorry. So there's no additional cost. But you know, the point is we're doing it. You know, we're taking our time to do it, and it's tough.
And there is a customer service component to this, really overlaying all.
There truly is. I mean, again, when you have that person, they put that crease in the car and they're adamant that it was the deckhand. I mean, you're facing a really tough situation.
And they're on vacation, you know, and they already got the ding. And so we want to make it as easy as possible, whatever, you know what I mean, the accommodating. It's like somebody falls into that, you know, you don't say, well, that was your fault. You know.
Exactly.
Take care of it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, Kel and I went through the accident reports and the Bayfield's underneath, you know, we could fix it, but you'd have to redo the superstructure,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, right, which is, again, I mean, we were spitballing the price of that, and I don't think anybody wants to hear, you know. So again, this is the cost of the fact that, you know, we're hauling 26 cars a trip on that. All summer long, you know, people are fried. It's a tough situation. It's a no-win, you know, but ultimately, again, I would, if it was helped you guys in any way, I could show you the magnitude of these that come across my desk and how few ultimately end up in a payment.
And we're only talking, you know, magnitude is, you know, 5, 6, 7, you know, like in August.
Oh, yeah.
It's the toughest part.
Yeah.
But the low point, we also talked about that yellow metal guard.
The glass stack guard.
Yeah, and I asked, Cal, could we put like insulation or, you know, like something.
Bumper?
So it's essentially an exhaust wrap. So it's like a fabric.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
opposed to a guard, right?
Yeah.
So if it hits it, it's less likely to crease
Right.
and more
But
likely,
if I do the paint, but you know, it's not cheaper, yeah.
right? So I mean, we're looking into things like that as well, right? So I mean, again, that's the big point. I don't want these happening. I don't like it. I'm not trying to, you know, we're spending a bunch of time training crews to not let it happen. I would say that adding that extra step would be a lot.
Go ahead. I'm satisfied.
Me too.
Thoroughly, I totally agree with Cal's statements. The one thing that I was curious about, is there some kind of liability waiver that the ferry could enter into that would protect Miffle or the town by all ridership, any damage incurred is on the vehicle driver, of some kind of language of that sort, just in case someone is trying to seek compensation for something that we don't agree should be compensated for.
I think it's
Or you
not
don't
for
agree.
sure that we're not responsible for low mufflers or.
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
below the pricing.
So you have something like that.
Minimal.
Okay.
But I mean, it's not.
And it's working, whatever that, I mean, this current system actually
And we
is
have
working.
different water levels. When trailers and low things come on, you know, the crew puts them on diagonally,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
So like if you have a low sports car or something.
Yeah, they do their best, but you know, the vagaries of the dock heights and stuff.
Good. And these are typically just cash payouts, are not run through insurance? Is that
No.
correct?
No, because that will throw your insurance. Yeah, they're small payouts.
It's not worth it.
Just wanted clarification there.
This is helpful. Good.
Could train the deckhands to do the old Sherman trick and you tell them how much the boat's gonna cost to fix because they hit it. I heard that was.
It works, I mean, that's again a strategy of getting,
It's great.
to calm down is, you know, when you're getting them closer and closer to the wall. And you're, oh, I'm gonna hit my car, and don't worry about the car, worry about the boat, you know.
That's good. Yeah, it's good.
Very good.
Let's see if we're done with that discussion, we can move on to approval to move funds for debt service.
So, really, the only, debt service payment that we're gonna need to make other than out of the capitalized interest fund. And that's for the revenue bonds and the Bremer general obligation. The only thing that isn't reserved for that's this year payment is the NAN interest. And that's about $136,000. And we are getting interest in that account, pretty decent rate. So I'd like to suggest that we transfer from our utility account into the debt service account, $136,000 to have it making interest before we pay the interest payment on December 1st.
So we're gonna make another account for debt service,
No,
for
it can
Dan?
go in the same.
Oh, we already have one.
Yeah.
Okay, cause I see okay, you're gonna put it in the 7269 account, you're gonna put it into?
I believe that's probably, the one that we.
Okay.
Yeah, we have,
Triple check on that, but.
yeah, we have two accounts that have about the same amount of money in them.
Yeah.
And,
They really do.
and they're different. One is the capitalized interest account that is gonna essentially go away, or could go away. We could use it for something else down the road, but it's what we got, when we, at closing,
Okay,
that was set up, the capitalized interest, so the interest on our first payments. And that's all we have on the first payments is the interest on the revenue and the general obligation. We'll start paying principal on those December of 2025. And one of the things incidentally that we'll need to be aware of, I see no issue, but we'll need to be aware that basically on December 1st, 2024, we'll want to have in the bank, and not including that reserve fund, we'll want to have in the bank of about $1 million to demonstrate to the bank that we don't need to put anything on the tax levy this coming year. Based on where we are right now and what we're projecting for cash going forward, I don't see any problem with that. And, you know, frankly, it only really applies to the general obligation part, which is only $500,000 of the payment next year. The revenue one we're doing by doing 1/12 every month next year. And so that's the, you know, but we will have enough to cover both by the end of this year.
So the action we want to take about the 136.
Is to transfer 136 from our utility account into the debt service account.
I'll make it.
Move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Right.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Future agenda items,
Full contract.
school contract will be on there. Sounds like we'll have to make a decision about how to move forward with our refrigerator truck.
The reimbursement of,
Oh, yes, well, that'll come with the bills.
I'll have that stuff. I just make a note about. I just want to let the Harbor Commission know that moving forward, the bills will only be put up for approval
the Thursdays prior to town board meetings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Simplify my. a little bit.
Which
The heads
No.
up that-
Not allowed.
Payments to the town that are on that sheet about the debt service. And these payments, the dock and the harbor engineering payment.
Yeah, put that on the payments for next.
week.
Discussion of, True North sailing. Is that on the agenda? for next week?
I wouldn't, it's just a thought, they're gonna be exploring options.
Yeah, let me,
Okay, let's wait to see what they.
if we need to put it back on there, we will, but I'll reach out to them this afternoon.
The same with the propane. If you will not have that on the agenda unless there seems to be a need.
Particular list. Anything else?
How did, moving all the plant pieces go?
Yeah, yeah.
We still have one to move.
And Crew's been very good, and participating is excellent to work with.
Oh, the best.
Pete is a very good guy.
Very good, so we need to.
And that's some heavy equipment. I mean, that's some of the heaviest equipment we got across the coast. 130,000 pounds. 35,000.
I thought Arnie's rock crusher pushed like 150.
It's awesome.
It was, that thing was big and heavy. But I also remember it had caused damage to some of the, underneath of the bayfield, the decking. Fraser found a bunch of cracks.
But we reinforced all of our docks this week for this, yeah.
Yeah.
Next meeting date?
September 5th is next Thursday, which is perfectly lining up with prior to the town board meeting.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
September or to August go.
I will not be around 12. I'm even sure I could call.
Public comment?
Yeah, just thinking about, if you're redoing the grade, you put like a curb and gutter on the east and the north side, just like they have on Main Street or other roads. To divert the water around that, it's coming down and it's an impervious surface like pavement. Is that an option? I don't know, because what a curb like 3-4 inches. Happen.
Are
Are
you-
you have a sidewalk down there, could you put a curb and gutter to lower the whole driveway and have a
Oh.
curb and gutter on the two sides? I don't.
Yeah, it is a thought. I mean, ultimately, the best thing to do, here we go. The best thing to do for that whole property is to put in a true catch basin right in front of the
I
garage.
should have been built up next to Colonel Woods Avenue and
Yeah, so we'll have things to explore, but I also too, we want to keep that flat for, you know, the elderly folk that we don't want to make a step. You don't have to.
further.
But we'll have time to play with it.
No one has anything else? I will move that we adjourn. At
Second.
9:51.
Well done.
All in favor? Aye.